Hi YouTube and welcome back to my Let's Play World of Warcraft on Wednesdays. Sorry that I am posting this a little bit late, just kind of ran a lot of errands today and was doing some fancier editing on my analytics tutorials that I have on a different YouTube channel, so that kind of took precedent today. Sorry guys. But finally got this up. So this week I am doing the Halls of Stone, followed by next week with Halls of Lightning in Ulduar, I think is the name of the region. So it's kind of like a two-part thing. There's two different instances here. There is also a 10-man raid that I could be running, and if I do get to that. I will, like I've mentioned before many times, but all the raids will be done after I've finished all of the 5-man dungeons. So I'm going to do the 5-mans first, and then I'll circle back around and do all the 10-man dungeon raids after that. And Ulduar will definitely be the one of the ones I will attempt. And basically, I think I've decided that I will go through all of the raids going forward as far as I can. And if I fail, I fail, and you get to see me, how far I get and how badly I fail. If I don't get it all the way through, then I don't get it all the way through. It just, it is what it is. But I will attempt to do all of the 10-man raids for Wrath of the Lich King. And then after that, we will proceed from there on to the Cataclysm 5-mans. And I may or may not have to switch from Heroic back to normal at some point, either before that or at that stage. We'll see. But I'm going to keep going on Heroic for as long as I can. Alright. So this is the Halls of Stone, and yeah, there's sort of a kind of a two-part thing going on here, and we'll kind of get into the storyline a little bit later on into this, and this is one of the reasons why this particular 5-man is a bit longer. It's 25 minutes and stuff, and I didn't feel like breaking it into two pieces because it just didn't feel like it would. The first half didn't feel like it would be interesting enough to justify cutting it into two pieces. But there is there's a little bit of a storyline going on there, and I'll get more into talking about that later on. But right now we are way up by the storm, as far, the far reaches of Storm Peaks in Ulduar, and just kind of going through these ancient halls and things. So here we're just kind of looking at all of the various bosses that we can potentially encounter. The various boss encounters and things, and there's one kind of really interesting little sequence that's going to happen a little bit later on when we get to the second half of this dungeon. But first, we've kind of take out the all of these guys, and there's a number of giants we have to take out. We need 3 of the Dark Rune Giants. We've gotten 2 so far. And we need to get Crystallos as well. And then there's the Maiden of Grief to take care of. And there's one other big boss that we it's close by, but we can't get to him yet because the doors are locked. And that's where the second half sequence is going to come into play. I decided to go after the Stone Giant here first before going after Crystallos. I didn't necessarily have to, but it doesn't matter because I still have to go this way one way or the other later to get the Maiden of Grief. So whether I do this now or later doesn't really matter. And the nice thing about running solo and not running with my guild is I get to choose where I want to go. I suppose if I ever tanked, I would have that choice as well, but I don't like tanking. Alright, so took care of those guys. Here's that giant coming striding straight for us, which I was pretty happy about. I didn't have to go into another area where I'd aggro others. So there we go. So I got all the giants. I just need a crystal tear of grief, which I think we get from the Maiden of Grief. But first, I'm going to go on this side quest over here and get Crystallos. It's one of the mini bosses in this in this instance, so we'll just kind of take care. And there's a lot of trash mobs that I have to take out in here, whether I want to or not, just because there's just too many of them, and they're close enough to aggro. And apologies, but I am a miner, and I do get tempted by mining opportunities, even if they are a bit below my current mining level. At least they've really kind of sped up things like mining and other gathering types of things compared to what it used to be. I mean, you used to have to hit the thing like 3 or 4 times to get all of the ore out of your mining nodes, and now you hit it, once, and you get all of the ore in one fell swoop now, which is really nice. And for those of you, I don't know if you all watch all of my gaming videos, if you only watch my World of Warcraft videos, but I also play Ion, which has a lot of very similar game mechanics to World of Warcraft. The storyline and there's a lot of differences as well, but the overall mechanics of the game are very, very similar to World of Warcraft, and they still have their kind of gathering stuff where you have to do 3 or 4 times before you get everything. And I keep commenting on it when I'm commenting on my video series for Ion, that like, gee, I wish they fix that. Because it's kind of nice to have a profession and gather things, and you can earn money from it and that kind of stuff, but it's such a pain in the butt to have to sit there for 10 minutes mining a stupid node of ore or picking a flower or whatever. I mean, the only difference, the one thing that they did do is that you don't have to have a specialization. You can just, there's all sorts of gathering things you can pick up, and basically you can pick up anything from any, you can pick flowers, you can get fish, you can mine rocks, whatever. It doesn't really matter. They're basically all the same. You don't have to have a specific specialization to do anything, and it all levels up your gathering skill. You have a single gathering skill, and that's it. It's called essence tapping in the game, but still, neither here nor there. Alright, so here we go. Finally made it to Crystallis. Definitely remember this fight. I don't think my guild wiped too often on this guy. He was always pretty easy. Pretty straight up tank and spank, as I recall, and this is very much true. Alright, so next is Maiden of Grief. I think we have a little shortcut here. We just drop down through here, and we're back at the entrance to Crystallis' cave in the first place. Alright, so now we'll go down to Maiden of Grief. And you'll see there's one other boss opposite her at the northern point of this building, but he's one that we can't get to yet because we have to complete part of a certain storyline first, and again, we'll see that in a little bit, but we have to get past her first. Alright, so we'll take these guys out. Now, with Maiden of Grief, she's definitely one of the ones where I remember that if we didn't do it right, we would wipe sometimes, especially early on when we're still learning these dungeons and things, and especially when I was coming along as my shaman healer, my resto shaman, because yeah, like this black circle thing. I should have learned from Karazhan to avoid smoking black circles, but I didn't always get out of the way in time. It would kill me faster than I could get away from it sometimes. But once I switched to playing with my DK here with my Death Knight, it was piece of cake at that point. All right, so we took care of her. We've actually gotten all the quests completed, and we could turn in the quests, but obviously we want to finish running the dungeon first. So before we go after the next boss, we have to go through this next sequence here, and Unfortunately, we do have to take these trash mobs out, because at this point these are trash mobs. I don't need any of them, including the giant, for any quests, but they're kind of in the way. I'm going to kind of aggro them. I don't have a choice, so goodbye. Alright, let's see if we can get past that one construct. Yes, we can. Now, I do clear out this next area here first, because then we kind of have an escort quest to do. And it's easier if you get rid of these guys first. And I probably should have cleared the next room first as well before doing it, but I didn't. But, you know, it's neither here nor there. Still end up getting through it. And I just, as a you know, full transparency disclaimer, the first time I ran through this storyline with, so his name is Bran, I think. Yes, Bran Bronzebeard. So the first time I run through this with Bran Bronzebeard, unfortunately I failed. I wasn't paying close enough attention, and I let him get injured, and if he dies, you have to restart this sequence of the dungeon. Thankfully, you don't have to restart the entire dungeon from scratch, but you do have to restart this sequence of the dungeon. And so I did edit out that part just because it was, you know, otherwise this entire thing would be 40 minutes long instead of 25. This next sequence does take quite a while, and there's no way of speeding it up. So he is here basically looking for information on the ancestors of the dwarves. Where do the dwarves come from in the first place? That's what he's here trying to figure out. And here we go. So there's where I kind of skipped past. Okay, so this is where I'm restarting this instance, or this sequence, because I had just finished failing it in the first place. All right, so this is the restart, and basically, so he's talking to the computer, and you can actually see. I know I'm talking over the stuff and everything, and I apologize for anyone who wants to actually hear this. But if you're watching in HD, you can actually read everything that's going on between Bran Bronzebeard and basically the computer that he's trying to access and stuff. And the computer's like, wait, we don't recognize your life form. We're going to implement phase 1 security measures. And so that's what's happening right now, is phase 1 security measures are being implemented, and that means I'm being shot at by one of the 3 faces in the room, as well as having these iron dwarf things being sent at me. And there's not much I can do to avoid these things. I mean, it misses 90% of the time, but it hits me every now and again. It does affect my health over time. You notice that there's 3 faces in there, if you look at it. And so as they keep escalating the security, each face, you know, attacks me. And all 3 of them are at the end, all 3 of them are attacking me at the same time. Whoops. And they just keep sending more and more troops against me too. So I the trick with this particular sequence is you have to stay at the entrance, and you have to just take out all of these guys before they reach Bran. You need to try to avoid allowing him to take damage as much as possible. Because again, if he dies, you get this whole sequence reset. And you'll see how kind of slow this whole thing is. Yeah, now they're coming. So we're into the second phase now. So they're coming at me from both sides, and both faces are active now. So the 2 side faces are active. So the one is shooting these kind of light bolts at me that do about 600 damage on average per, which isn't too bad. I mean, you know, at my level, it's not gonna kill me very quickly. But then the second one, you see this smoking purple ball of light that comes at me, and that's what the second one is. She manifests it and sends them at me. And so that one also does additional damage, although I wasn't really paying that close attention to how much damage it's doing to me. So the one's constant, the other one isn't. And then eventually the third phase comes in and they shoot like these kind of fire laser bolts at me. There's another ball. Yep, it's so the second one shoots much slower, but it's about 5,000 damage. So we get one that shoots constantly and misses most of the time, but when it hits, it's about 600 damage. The other one shoots much more slowly, but when it hits, it's around 5,000 damage. So you can see it's miss, 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 miss. 576. Here comes another ball, purple ball. Yep, there we go. Now I'm also trying to get these guys, and sometimes I don't always get them, and so there, you know, I have. He has taken on a little bit of, well, I guess, nope, has he? No, not yet. He has taken on a little bit of damage, I think, but I keep trying to stop these guys first. And I think we're into the third phase now. You'll probably see some laser bolts coming at me. Yep, there they are. I just need to not stand in the way of those laser bolts. Because that, you know, not that it would kill me quickly, but it would eventually. You can see where my health is now. It's definitely affecting my health, so I need to try and stay away from those laser eyes. And oops, that guy kind of got away from me. So I keep looking at Bran and see he has taken some damage now, and I'm like, last time I did this, obviously, he took way too much damage and he died on me, which isn't very cool, but I just need to keep this up while he keeps mucking with the computer. Basically what he's doing is trying to hack the damn system to get past the security lockouts and get the information that he's looking for. And there is a sequence where he talks to the computer, and I will not talk over that part, just so for people who are really interested in the lore. Right now, it's just mainly him complaining about stuff and the computer basically talking about security protocols and security breaches and things. Ah, there we go. And at this stage, I will stop talking so we can hear what is going on.
And start at the beginning.
Accessing prehistoric data. Retrieved. In the beginning, earthen were created.
Right. I know the earthen were made from stone to shape the deep regions of the world. But what about the anomalies? Matrix non-stabilizing and whatnot.
Accessing. In the early stages of its development cycle, Azeroth suffered infection by parasitic, necrophotic symbiotes.
Necro, what in the... Speak bloody common, will ya?
Designation: Old Guards. Old Guards rendered all systems, including earthen, defenseless in order to facilitate assimilation. This matrix destabilization has been termed the Curse of Flesh. Effects of destabilization increased over time.
Old gods, huh? So they zap the earthen with this curse of flesh, and then what?
Accessing. Creators arrived to extirpate symbiotic infection. Assessment revealed that Old God infestation had grown malignant. Excising parasites would result in loss of host.
If they killed the old gods, Azeroth would have been destroyed.
Correct. Creators neutralized parasitic threat and contained it within the host. Forge of Wills and other systems were instituted to create new earthen. Safeguards were implemented, and protectors were appointed.
What protectors?
Designations Aesir and Vanir, or, in common nomenclature, Storm and Earth Giants. Sentinel-Loken designated Supreme. Dragon aspects appointed to monitor evolution of Azeroth.
Aesir and Vanir. Okay, So the Forge of Will started making new earthen. But what happened to the old ones?
Additional background is relevant to your query. Following global combat between Aesir and
Hold
Vanir...
everything. The Aesir and the Vanir went to war? Why?
Unknown. Data suggests that impetus for global combat originated with Prime Designate Loken, who neutralized all remaining Aesir and Vanir, effecting termination of conflict. Prime Designate Loken then initiated stasis of several seed races, including Earthen, Giants, and Vrykul, at designated holding facilities.
This Loken sounds like a nasty character. Glad we don't have to worry about the likes of him anymore. So if I'm understanding you right, the original Earthen eventually woke up from this stasis, and by that time, the destabilized whatever had turned them into proper dwarves. Or at least, dwarf ancestors.
Essentially, that is correct.
Well, now, that's a lot to digest. I'm gonna need some time to take this in. Thank you. The answers are here. I can feel it.
Session terminated.
Travel safe.
Acknowledged, Brand Bronson. Session terminated.
Alright, so for anyone who was really interested in the lore, that there you have it. And so that kind of adds a bit of time to this whole video. Although hopefully I'll try and make sure that I put a link in here so that you could have skipped that if you weren't interested in that. But now that we've finished that, we now get to go after the final boss. And the reason we had to go through all that first is, one, he wanted to find out the history, and two, this is how we find out about Loken, and he's the one who can open up the door so that we can go after Sojourner, whatever his name is. And then with the Halls of Lightning, that's where we go from there into going after Loken. So that's kind of the whole sequence of everything, because apparently Loken is the real big baddie in the whole story and everything. So if you listened to any of that sequence, you'll know that Loken is ultimately, and he's the final boss in Halls of Lightning in the first place. So. But first we gotta go meet up with Bran again and go after the final boss in this particular dungeon first. So here we go around the corner, and we'll get rid of this one patrol here that I skipped earlier because I didn't think I needed to, but either way it doesn't matter. Take them out first. Alright, now we will talk to him. Alright, let's open the door. And then we will just basically take out this guy. Yeah, basically we're taking him out to distract him while Bran goes and does some more monkeying around with computers, or whatever the heck the technology is here. I do think all of this stuff, is really fascinating with, all this stuff is supposedly built by, very, very ancient, some very ancient culture from Azeroth from a long time ago. And they have what looks like some pretty sophisticated tech and stuff, so probably the same reason why I was always loved Stargate. If anyone who's watching still is at all a Stargate fan, and what they found with the folks who were called the Ancients and some of their advanced tech that was millions of years old. I don't know, that kind of stuff always kind of gets my interest one way or the other. And here I was just kind of waiting around, seeing if there was anything else that was going to happen, and talk to him, and nope, nothing else is going to happen, so we just go and turn in the quests, and then next week we will go to the Halls of Lightning. So this is the conclusion to Halls of Stone, and then Halls of Lightning, and then following that is going to be the Caverns of Time, the Calling of Stratham. Is going to be in 2 weeks from now. I already know this because I made a mistake of recording it like a couple of months ago. And realizing I recorded it way too early in the sequence of things. So, but I already have the footage for that, so that's going to come up, and then we'll go on from there. We're getting well past the halfway point on Lich King. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and please like, share, subscribe, and until next week, we'll meet you at the Halls of Lightning. Take care. Bye bye.